Hi, I'm Mike Damergis, and welcome to Week 14 of the Email Advisor, and I'm with the King, Scott Engel. And Scott, the season is just mowing to the end there.
Yes, it's the very important time of year. As you know, Mike, Week 14 in most leagues marks the beginning of the fantasy postseason.
And a lot of decisions need to be made, right, Scott?
Yes, a lot of important decisions. Everything is magnified right now. Everything becomes bigger. People start overthinking more. We've been talking to Steve, who does the camera here,
Steve
and the producing, and Steve is all worried about it, the other team he's facing, and should I use this guy because the other team has this guy? Don't overthink things. That's the danger in the fantasy playoffs, that you can overthink things. All right, don't put any extra pressure on yourself.
Well, I know Steve pretty well. I don't think he thinks that much anyway.
No, so. he was overthinking, and you can't do that. You basically have to take the approach that got you here. Treat it just not like another fantasy game.
Okay, let's get to the emails, shall we?
We shall.
Let's start with Schmoopy. That's from Seinfeld, just in case you don't know. He says, do I start Colin Kaepernick or Big Ben, and why, Scott?
Well, Roethlisberger is coming back this week. He can inject some life into the Pittsburgh passing game. But Colin Kaepernick has come on as a real good fantasy quarterback with some upside, as we saw last week. Even if Kaepernick doesn't have a great passing game because he runs so well, he can always at least have that very good game for you. He can always bolster his numbers with the rushing totals. Roethlisberger is just not that kind of quarterback, and Roethlisberger is not really like a top-level fantasy quarterback, even when he plays. Kaepernick just has too much upside to consider Roethlisberger over him.
Do you think at some point, though, that defenses are going to figure Kaepernick out a little bit?
I think it's already happening, but because of the fact that he runs the ball so well and hybrid quarterbacks are so valuable in fantasy football, he becomes a must-start over a Midland fantasy quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger.
Let's move on, shall we?
We shall.
Steve Kultzow, our great producer, is going to have to spell this out on the screen there. F. Fakagna says, a non-PPR, he needs 2 of the 4 running backs, Richardson, Murray, LaSure, or Ridley, Scott.
To me, that's pretty easy. Trent Richardson is a must-start. He's getting a lot of carries. He's a tackling machine. I mean, he's a carry machine right now. Not a tackling machine, because it takes a lot of guys to tackle Trent Richardson right now. He said he can't wait to get the flak jacket off of his ribs. He's feeling good. You love him against the Kansas City Chiefs this week. DeMarco Murray came back last week, had a really good game. There's a lot of upside. He's versatile. To me, it's definitely Richardson and Murray. Stephen Ridley, like him to a lesser degree, but tougher matchup.
Let's move along here. S39 Will says, start Vic Ballard, Randall Cobb, Pierre Garçon, or T.Y. Hilton, Scott.
To me, it comes down between Garçon and Cobb. And Garçon has played so well recently with Robert Griffin III. But, dare I say it, I have a feeling that Pierre Garçon's not going to perform up to expectations this week. They're playing against Baltimore, but Baltimore does have some secondary issues. But Pierre Garçon has been getting most of his success on slant patterns, and he hasn't really shown enough on other type of patterns. I think when the Ravens watch the film and they try to take away the slant, there's a danger of will he be able to beat them on other routes, and we just don't know. Randall Cobb is still a force in that Green Bay offense, a prime target, especially with Jordy Nelson out. I think you have to go to Randall Cobb. I like T.Y. Hilton to a much lesser degree than Randall Cobb, but I might start Hilton over Garçon this week. But the answer to your question, you want to start Randall Cobb.
Up next, Malaya says, who do I start for my first playoff, Schaub or Eli Manning, Scott?
Well, Schaub in a big matchup on Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots. That's quite an attractive matchup, but still that's a run-first team. Mm-hmm. And they're going to run Arian Foster a lot to control the clock and time and possession much as they can. Eli Manning, has been kind of up and down playing against the Saints. I think I'm going to have to go with Eli Manning. He just has more of a ceiling in any given week to me over Schaub, even though Schaub had a huge game earlier this year.
And the Giants playing at home. They seem to get their act together against Green Bay, and it is the Saints' defense, correct?
Yes. Well, the Saints have been playing better, but I still like Eli.
It's still the Saints.
Yes, pretty much, yes.
Last up, T. Brooks, 396, Gates or Cook at tight end, Scott?
You know what? Antonio Gates the era is over. He's no longer a quality fantasy tight end. Maybe injuries have caught up with him. But to that point, we're talking about the has-been versus the never was. Jared Cook has been nothing but hype the last 2 years and has not delivered. You can't use Jared Cook. There's got to be something better on the free agent list out there. Take a look at my lineup rankings on RotoExperts.com right now. There's got to be somebody better. Even, you might even consider guys like Tony Scheffler and Tony Moyaki. You can't use Antonio Gates right now, but if your only other option is Jared Cook, well, good luck with Antonio Gates.
Are we kind of going, now that we're getting closer to Christmas, the land of misfit football players? Antonio Gates is going in that direction?
Yes, Larry Fitzgerald, something like that.
Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez.
Some coaches, North Turner, Rex Ryan.
Yeah, be interesting to see how that plays out for Ryan Matthews and his fantasy value next year.
So if the fans and listeners of your show, your website and everything want to get in contact with you, how do they do that in these last few weeks?
Now, 2 ways to do it. Not only the email advice tab on RotoExperts.com, but the new King in the Pocket app for your Android phone. If you want VIP access to the King anytime, anywhere, go in the Google Play Store and type in King in the Pocket in the search. Comes right up, and you can have the King anywhere and anywhere at any time, whenever you want him.
Boy, the King's face in your back pocket. Wow. That wraps things up. For my own college, he's the King Scott Engel, and I'm Mike Damergis.